Okay, good evening, everyone. Go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council for Tuesday, April 11th, 2017. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Sheldon.
Here.
Howell.
Here.
And Moran.
Here.
And council members Miklos and Gaylord are absent.
Okay, thank you. And would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so with that, agenda updates, any agenda updates?
There
this
are
evening?
2 additional agenda update items for item number 8C.
Okay, so 8C. And copies of those are,
Copies of those are for the public in the back, and each of the council members have received
great.
each.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, we'll jump right into scheduled presentations. And starting off this evening, we have a couple of them this evening. This is a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Folsom proclaiming April 21st to the 29th, 2017 as Creek Week in the city of Folsom. And if I could have Glenn Hermanson join me up front here. Get our sagging microphone all set here. Okay, so Creek Week. For those of you familiar with our meetings and this time of year, we do this every year. And every year we're fortunate to have Glenn here. And I was actually asked by our Public Works Director to share a little bit of information about Glenn, and because he has been a special part of the Creek Week activities here in Folsom. Glenn has been the Folsom area coordinator for Creek Week for 15 years now, so we're familiar with Glenn this time of year as we introduce this proclamation. In addition to Creek Week, Glenn has been a volunteer with the Friends of Folsom Parkways on many projects, including planting trees along the trails and building trail bridges over Hinkle Creek and Willow Creek. Glenn is a long-term resident of Folsom, having moved here 25 years ago. His wife and 2 daughters enjoy bike riding and walking on the many trails through the city and are looking forward to the next phase of the Johnny Cash Trail, which most of you probably see some of that activity right near the prison road. When not volunteering, Glenn is a principal civil engineer with Woodard and Curran with a focus on pipeline rehabilitation. So we always come up here and introduce Glenn, and Glenn doesn't talk about himself, but just like to share that he is just a valuable member of the community as a volunteer. So with that, happy to read the proclamation for Creek Week here in the city of Folsom. Whereas the Sacramento Area Creeks Council is a nonprofit organization working to preserve, protect, and restore urban streams and their riparian habitat. Whereas urban creeks, including Willow, Humbug, Hinkle, Linda, Alder, and Gold Creeks in the city of Folsom, are an important amenity in our community, providing recreation, wildlife habitat, and many other benefits. Folsom's creeks flow into the American River, an important source of drinking water, fisheries, and recreation resources for the region. Whereas actions we take to promote creek health also benefit our rivers. And whereas citizens are being called upon to be a part of an area-wide volunteer effort to improve and enhance our urban waterways by cleaning trash and debris, as well as removing invasive exotic plants. Whereas the city of Folsom is a platinum sponsor of the Area Creek Council's Week of Activities, helping to cover costs, publicize the event, and provide lunch to volunteers, providing staff to guide and assist citizens with the April 29th, 2017 cleanup of Folsom area creeks, collecting and disposing of debris, and providing other materials and services as needed. Whereas the Sacramento Area Creeks Council has designated April 21st to the 29th, 2017 as Creek Week in the Sacramento region. Now therefore, I, Andy Moran, Mayor of the City of Folsom, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of April 21st through the 29th as Creek Week in the City of Folsom. And we call upon citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the activities, fun, and adventure during the special week and set aside time to benefit our creeks and rivers with volunteerism. Proclaimed this 11th day of April 2017. So please give Glenn a nice hand for all the work he does leading this charge.
Thank you very much. The quality of life here in Folsom is very high, as we're all aware, and one of the reasons I think for that, and I'd like to think everyone else would agree, is the quality of our creeks and trails that we have in this city. And that wouldn't be possible without the leadership of the council and the mayor and the long-term planning that goes into making these things happen. They just don't happen by accident, so I'm really appreciative of that. And so the Sacramento Creeks Council every year has a variety of activities this week, but the one I want to focus on happens on Saturday, April 29th, where we have this massive cleanup day with a number of volunteers come down and we disperse out to various places around the city and pick up the trash there. It's done in conjunction with the City Trails Days, which plants trees and does trail improvements, and this year's the same. April 29th, 9 to 12. Just Google Creek Week, and you'll get a lot more information there on how to sign up. Or the city has Trails Days, and they're also looking for volunteers too. So come on out April 29th, and thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Thanks as always.
Which is a great segue into the next one, which is Arbor Day on April 29th.
Okay, so next on our scheduled presentations, as Vice Mayor mentioned, is recognition of Arbor Day, and I've asked Vice Mayor Carrie Howell to handle the proclamation.
I'm not Ken Menzer, sadly. Ken's still bouncing back.
Okay. Okay, so come on over. So, this is a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Folsom encouraging the community to become involved in Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and will be celebrated in Folsom on Saturday, October 29th, and whereas in 1907, President Theodore Roosevelt proclaimed this as a national time to actually plant trees, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature citywide, catch rainwater, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, provide habitat for wildlife, and protect us from the harmful effects of the sun on our skin. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes and furniture, plus sequestering air and soil-borne carbon. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas we'll be planting 105 drought-tolerant trees in Folsom along East Natoma Street in celebration of Arbor Day. Now, therefore, I, Carrie Howell, on behalf of Andy Warren, Mayor of the City of Folsom, do hereby proclaim April 29, 2017 as Arbor Day in the City of Folsom, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day by supporting efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, planting a tree of their own, or at the City Arbor Day planting, and further urge all citizens to enjoy the cool shade of trees and promote the well-being of this and future generations as we become a Tree City, USA for the 11th year in a row. Proclaim this 11th day of April, 2017.
Very good.
Thank you. Arbor Day?
On Trails Day, April 29th, you can plant trees with us, as you said, at East Natoma and Folsom Lake Crossing. There'll be 105 trees planted, drought tolerant, and we're looking for volunteers for that.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Carrie. Okay, that concludes our scheduled presentations. The next item, please.
Next item is business from the floor, and we have one speaker card for John Combs.
All right, John. Good to see you again, John.
Good to see you again, Andy. And timing's pretty good with Creek Week and Arbor Day. That was nice. My name's John Combs, and I represent the citizens of Folsom residents who oppose the road being built in the Hinkle Creek nature area to allow Vector trucks to access sewer lines and manholes to vacuum out waste. During our last council meeting, we had two requests. The first was to meet with each of our council members. We met with Ernie Shelton and look forward to meeting with all the rest of you before this issue comes to the City Council. Our second request was to sponsor a community meeting to discuss the city's plan to build a road. We've not heard from anyone on this subject, so we're going to host a community meeting, and we'd like to invite the staff and the City Council members to attend. The meeting will be held on Monday, April 24th at the Rotary Club building in Lou Howard Park at 6:30 p.m. That's April 24th on Monday, Rotary Club building, Lou Howard Park at 6:30 on Monday. The Hinkle Creek Nature Area is adjacent to the Lou Howard Park, so we encourage you to come early and take a walk through this beautiful area. Our recommendation has 4 elements. Number 1, complete the necessary upgrades on the sewer line. Number 2, use a qualified contractor to clean and camera inspect the lines annually. Number 3, install strategically located wireless flow monitors to provide early warning of blockages. And number 4 is to clear upline blockages using industry standard collection baskets versus Vector trucks to remove waste. Point 4 is our primary area of disagreement with the staff's recommendation. They feel they need to have Vector trucks to each manhole to vacuum out waste. To get a Vector truck to a manhole requires a road. We've spoken to a number of very experienced professionals locally who've helped us to develop our credible alternative. Local leaders in this field recognize the potential negative impact and their business if they were to publicly oppose staff recommendations. So we reached out to a company called Provac, a professional industrial sewer maintenance company in the state of Washington. Provac has been in the business for over 25 years, has over 100 employees, 40 Vector trucks, and 8 video inspection trucks. We connected with Gil Graham, a University of Washington graduate, but wanted you to know that none of our team had any prior relationship with him. Mr. Gill writes in a letter to us, I reviewed the information provided on the Hinkle Creek project. Using a Vector truck to jet clean the line and basket containment systems can work as an excellent way to clear blockages in sewer lines that are difficult to vacuum from a manhole. In situations like this, we use a 1,200-foot jet hose reel from our Vector truck to clean sewer lines that are difficult to access. Just recently, we were approached to clean a long line that ran through a golf course. I've seen the baskets and other style improvised containment systems on where Vector trucks were not accessible, and they have worked successfully. In my opinion, if you perform regular cleaning, video inspections of the lines and ensure cleanliness, then you can maintain the functionality of this system without a Vector truck access to each manhole. Gil Graham, Provac. So we're looking forward to meeting with all the council members in a positive and constructive manner. We're confident that once you understand the details of our proposal, you'll be convinced that our alternative is a superior solution. For those wanting more information and details on the proposal, please go to savehinklecreek.com. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, John.
Could I comment?
Sure.
Well, I want to comment. I did meet today with the little committee from there, and they're actually my neighbors because I live close to that area. I'm very familiar with the Hinkle Creek because I was a park commissioner at the time we built that park. And the funding we got from the state to do it, I remember it distinctly. And it was an accomplishment, one of the many that the park commission and the city council at the time approved. So I'm just making a disclosure that I go every time citizens ask me to come, I come because that's how I view my job as a council person. So just for full disclosure, I want to let you know that I was there today, and I'm part of it. And I do have a sign in my yard for anybody else curious. Okay. Now that the election's over, there's no conflict. I have a sign.
Thanks, Ernie. Okay, so anything else on business on the floor?
That's it.
Okay, next item, please.
Next item is consent calendar, item 7A, ordinance number 1261. Ordinance of the City of Folsom adding sections 1020-280 and 1020-470 to the Folsom Municipal Code pertaining to parking and storage of vehicles, recreation vehicles, and utility trailers, second reading and adoption.
Okay,
I actually just, I'll move the item, but I want to make a comment. We got an email, I think we all got it, from Chuck Colson a couple of days ago. And Chuck's commentary, I think maybe we need to explain to Chuck that this ordinance is not intended to prevent people from parking boats and RVs or whatever in their driveway. Because I think that was the tone of his letter based on the, I don't know, 35 photos that he attached. Of the photos, there was one photo of a boat that was parked on the lawn, but I think we need to let Chuck know that's not what this is intended to address. And then my second question is this going to be code enforcement's responsibility solely?
okay.
Allow me to address that if you don't mind, Madam Vice Mayor. I will respond to Mr. Colson personally.
Okay.
I did not get his email, but I will reach out to him. I know him very well.
Okay.
So I will reach out to him. And the structure as envisioned by city staff is exactly as you described. Code enforcement officer will be responsible to help facilitate the education part as well as the enforcement part of this new ordinance.
Okay, and the other thing that I think is going to be difficult, I know there was a lot of effort put into this to try to put this together, but I think based on experience in my neighborhood, we now have locations where significant additional pavement has been put on residential lots so that there's no way that some of these locations are going to meet that requirement for 40% landscaping.
And I'll discuss those issues with Pete as well.
Okay.
Yep, thank you, Ms.
I'll
Vice Mayor.
still move the item.
And I'll go ahead and second that. Please call the roll on that item.
Councilmembers Sheldon.
Yes.
Howell.
Yes.
And Moran.
Yes. All right, that concludes consent calendar. Next item.
Next item is public hearing, item 8A, Broadstone Estates subdivision vesting small lot tentative subdivision map, project design guidelines, and inclusionary housing plan. Resolution number 9900, a resolution approving a vesting small lot tentative subdivision map, project design guidelines, and inclusionary housing plan for the development of the Broadstone Estates project.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Good evening, David.
Yes, Mayor and City Council. Well, it's nice that these titles are long because it gives us a little bit of time for our projector to start up here, but I'll go ahead and start the presentation here. This is another one of the subdivisions south of 50. This is one that went through a general plan amendment from commercial to residential. And one of the big issues there was the hillsides were so steep that the commercial development wasn't very practical. Another issue was that we had some issues with noise and the location of the residential units relative to the distance from the freeway. So we're using a couple of techniques that are within the specific plan to bring to you the vesting tentative map. Obviously, the land use change occurred. And when they came in with the map to subdivide this area, there were two major issues to deal with. One was to coordinate, well, it should be on. One was to coordinate the subdivision with the adjacent subdivision. As you'll note, this is right against the freeway. Immediately south of it is the new home project, the Russell Ranch. And there were lots that needed to be coordinated. There were lot lines that needed to be lined up. We needed to provide access to and from, and one of those access routes went through the Russell Ranch project, so we needed to coordinate the maps. So we did all of that in the process of bringing Elliott Homes as the developer and applicant, and they brought the subdivision with 81 single-family residential homes in. This is on 32 acres. And there's 12.6 acres of open space, 81 single-family lots, and they're very similar to the lots that you approved in the adjacent development for the Russell Ranch. They're hillside lots. Subdivision is laid out very similarly. What they did is they used the minor administrative modification procedure that we make available and that we foresaw there'd be some changes in the planning of the area, and so minor administrative modifications can be accommodated through this particular provision. And in this case, it was done very well to preserve the open space, but to put it as a buffer between the freeway and the residential units so that you had distance and you could mitigate the noise issues. So the plan that you see today, once we can get this up, good, it's working. The plan that you can see today will be the subdivision itself. The Broadstone Estates Elliott Homes project is right adjacent to Old Placerville Road and Highway 50. And as you can see, it integrates very well with the Russell Ranch project that is just south of it. And in terms of the ingress egress, in terms of the lots and the way they interface with one another, it accommodates a water tank in the open space area up here and places open space between the freeway and the units to mitigate the sound issues. This is a better view of it, where you can see it a little more clearly. As you see up here, this is the right-of-way for the freeway and Highway 50. This is the water tank. All of these green areas are the open space areas in the project, and these are the layouts of the lots in the various phases. And you'll note that all of the street interface was coordinated, so it was a continuous and contiguous and very similar development and ties right in to the new home development. So I think we've done a fairly good job in looking at this, and the proponents have coordinated very well on this. So this evening, we're bringing this to you. It's been through all of the environmental review, and you have the recommendation and findings here. There's a resolution attached, and that resolution would be approving the vesting small lot tentative subdivision map, the project design guidelines, and the inclusionary housing plan for this project. And it really fills out this last piece up against the freeway. So we think this was very well done, and that we ended up with a project that really coordinated well. Some of the actual subdivision map is shown here, some of the street cross sections. Preliminary grading and drainage plan is here. When you have a hillside area, that certainly is a very critical piece of information. And then the preliminary utility plan is also part of the vesting tentative map. And that's particularly critical because we have started the installation of improvements south of 50 just this last week.
David,
So-
what happens to that in that, the cul-de-sac on the right, where those lots look like they're being truncated because of where the property line goes along the bottom?
Here?
Yeah.
There are agreements between the two parties with respect to the lots here, so that you have, if there's a quick claim or any kind of an exchange of property to allow for all of these to remain within the existing subdivision, those particular arrangements have been talked through by the parties, and they're in agreement.
Well, but shouldn't they be showing on this map?
Well, the map itself, we can have the proponent speak to this, and I think the engineer is here, and the engineer and planner is here. But I think the idea was to do this via whatever kinds of instruments were necessary to make the cleanup, rather than to have maps that would somewhat gerrymander around along the property lines. But the proponent is here, and if you'd like to talk to them about what those arrangements are and how they work that out.
Yeah, and the short answer is fine.
Yeah. So this did get approved by the Planning Commission. It's being referred to you, as you are the final approving body of vesting tentative maps, and we're recommending approval of this subdivision this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Any questions for David? Ernie? Carrie's asked hers. So this is a public hearing. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. I have no request to speak on this item, and see, okay, we see Price running to the podium here. So good evening, Price.
Mayor, thank you, city council members. I just wanted to answer Ms. Howell's questions. Basically, we've already entered into a series of lot line adjustments and boundary line adjustments and easement agreements with New Home in the event that we didn't go first or they didn't go first. Basically,
No, and it looks like the two lots that I'm talking about, it looks like that's actually going into open space anyway.
that's correct. I think I'm sorry. Which ones are you talking about?
On the far right one too.
Yes.
So yeah, just
Those little things that cross the.
Those are the areas, those kind of cross-hatched areas
Yep.
are the areas that are basically subject to this swap or this lot line adjustment with
Right.
Elliott Homes and New Home.
Right.
And so it doesn't affect their open space requirements or ours.
No, I wouldn't think that it would. I think where it's going to come into play is when the surveys of the individual lots are done. I just don't want to make it complicated and then have a homeowner have to come back to us to get a lot line adjustment later. I'm just saying, you guys work it out.
Nor do we.
Okay.
And it was complicated, and we think we've gotten through all the complications to where now going forward, it shouldn't be.
Okay.
The engineers have spent a lot of time on this small little 81 lots to make sure that those complications are taken care of.
Okay.
Well, the engineers must have just gotten that right then, huh, Kerry?
I hope so.
You know, engineers, they're very bright. And I'll take any other questions you have.
Okay, any other questions for Price? Okay. All right, thanks, Price. Okay, I have no other further requests to speak on this item, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Mr.
and-
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
It appears that there might be an error in condition of approval number 3, which is on page 163 of your staff report. And that pertains to the life of the map. And I think, and I'm curious about the council's thought on this as well. As currently
I'm sorry,
written,
which page are you looking at, Steve?
163,
On the,
condition of approval number 3.
yeah, my
So-
163 is not matching. Okay, hold on a second here. Let me-
53 or 63?
Oh, I apologize, page 18 of 163.
Okay.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Correct. Page 18 of 163,
18.
18 of 163.
correct. Condition of approval number 3.
18 of 160.
So as many of you know, generally, the council approve maps for a life of 2 years, initial life of 2 years, subject to extension as requested from time to time by the developer. In this case, the language is written may be inaccurate, and that is to tie the life of the map to the term of the development agreement, which ends in 2044, and that's another 27 years from now. I think that's an error, but I could be wrong. I'm interested to hear council's thoughts on this. That's
I
a
just think it's
huge
funny
difference.
that it could be an error, but I could be wrong.
Whatever the council wants to do, but I think there's a huge difference between the two numbers, and certainly, generally speaking, the council approval for subdivision maps track the state law that allows the initial life to be 2 years, subject to extension
Right,
as
because I-
requested by
That's
the
always been our habit, so.
Right, so we're not going to go to the end of the DA, which is, 20-plus years out.
Correct. So if council would like to continue with the existing practice of initial 2-year timeframe for the subdivision map, I would recommend modifying the language in this condition. Basically strike out the terms specified in amendment number 1 to the order.
Is Elliot okay with this?
I could be wrong, but I think that is the intent of the amendment number 1 of the ARDA was for the maps to have the life of the DA. Am I not correct?
If that was the intent, that was not specifically stated in the order. And the provision in the order provides for vested rights, and the vested rights specifically does not talk about the life of the map, and also talk about entitlements, and there are 5 entitlements specified in the order, including the general plan, the specific plan, the design guidelines, and so on and so forth, and that does not include the map either. So I don't think that's the intent of the order, but certainly have to hear council's thought on this.
Well, I don't, it's been our habit for a long, long time to, set these at 2 years, and then I can't really think of too many times where, when we're asked for an extension, if nothing's changed, it seems to be pretty ministerial when we get to that. So, is there?
I'm not arguing with your practice of
Right.
old. I'm just questioning on the ARDAs, all of them, what they specifically say. And I didn't bring it with me. I thought they specifically stated that the life of the maps were the same as the DA's, the 20, whatever it is.
And I appreciate that, Price. I have reviewed the terms of the order because the landowners recently brought up that issue, that question, and so we looked at it. If it would help to protect your interests, the developer's interest, I would recommend perhaps a really minor edit, and that is to state that the approval of the vesting small alternative subdivision map, design guidelines, and inclusionary housing plans shall be valid for the term if such is specified in amendment number 1 to the order, and any amendments thereto for the project or for a period of 24 months, which is consistent with what the council
But it
had
says, it
done.
refers to 24 months earlier in the paragraph. Couple of lines up, it
I would
refers
be
to
okay with
24
your
months.
language.
If such is stated, which I'm representing to you, I have looked over the order recently, as recent as a few hours ago, and it's not in there. But to address Price's concern that he doesn't have a copy, and neither do I just noticed that this condition may be problematic.
I think that amended language would work for me.
Okay.
It gives, I think, both parties
A comfort.
Correct.
Yeah, if such is stated in order, which,
Okay, but
yeah.
are you guys going to move forward on this within the next 24 months?
no. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, we can't really move forward without our neighbors to the east of us very easily. And so maybe, I shouldn't say no.
Well, it's not the east of you, isn't it south?
Whatever that is, south of us, our neighbors to New Home.
But isn't that the work that has already started? So I think the way
Some
it's,
of it, yes.
the way it's looking to me, New Home's got to create some roadways in order for you guys to get to your part of the parcel, or your parcel.
Yes.
But I would think that's going to happen sooner rather than later.
I hope so.
What timeframe were you guys looking at down the road? Were you looking at like 5 years?
I mean, no. I mean, if it's there, the water
Yeah.
and sewer and roadways are there, we'll go forward. We'll do
Okay.
it today. We would go forward today if we could.
Right, and you know, we've done these in the past. I don't know if that's really germane to this.
No.
You know, because we have done things where I think we see the timeline is
Yes.
out there a while.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe, Ernie and Carrie, did you understand that amendment that was proposed by our city attorney? Okay.
If a
And-
longer term is specified in the order, then that's fine.
Okay.
Because the city has already agreed to the order.
Okay.
I just don't see
I
it
have
in
no
there.
problem with it. So,
Okay.
Okay. I mean, if I had it in front of me, I wouldn't argue this. But I
Okay.
don't have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bryce, and thanks for your attention to the detail there, Steve. Okay, so was this moved at?
no, but I will be happy to do that. I'll move resolution 9900 with general findings A and B, CEQA findings C and D, vesting small lot tentative subdivision map findings E through M,
And then with,
with the modified language to condition 3.
And Mr. Mayor, if I might, I'd like to ask Mr. Wong to read a version of that language, just so that we're all clear with regard to what the new condition 3 would say.
And I think, Steve, that you need to read that whole paragraph from the beginning because the 24 months is already in there.
Absolutely. So condition of approval number 3 will now read validity. This approval of the vesting small lot tentative subdivision map, design guidelines, and inclusionary housing plan shall be valid for the term if such term is specified in the order, in amendment number 1 to the order, by the way, not just the order, amendment number 1 to the order.
and then,
And any amendments thereto for the project, or for a period of 24 months, whichever is longer, but in no event for a shorter period than the maximum period of time permitted by the Subdivision Map Act. Pursuant to Section 2.2 of Amendment Number 1 to the order, the term of the project design guidelines shall track the term of the maps.
Okay.
okay. All right. So I will go ahead and second that motion by the vice mayor. So please call the roll on that item.
Council members Sheldon.
Yes.
Howell.
Yes.
And Moran.
Yes. Okay, next item, please.
Sorry. The next item is public hearing item 8B, ordinance number 1274, an uncodified ordinance approving amendment number 2 to the development agreement by and between the City of Folsom and Evergreen Folsom Land Joint Venture and Bradville, Inc., relative to the Folsom Corporate Center, introduction and first reading.
Okay, thank you. Good evening again, David.
Yes, Mayor and City Council members. This particular development agreement request was made jointly by the developer, Evergreen, and also by SAFE Credit Union. And we met with both of them. And it's kind of a good example of a great partnership between the city, the landowner, and the tenant. And what SAFE is interested in is preserving about 65,000 square feet within the project that is left to be developed. And they would like to have that in the development agreement, to have those assurances. And Dan Cole is here from Evergreen Development Company, and he is in agreement with that. So what we did to accommodate that is to go ahead and modify the development agreement to carve out that 65,000 square feet to be reserved for SAFE.
I'm sorry, David, just for clarification, you're talking about 65,000 square feet of land or 65,000 feet of office space?
I believe it's office space that they're wanting to preserve out of the remaining square footage that's available. Office
Okay,
space.
but it's a
Floor
little
area.
bit confusing in the introduction. Because it talks about 65,000 square feet on the undeveloped parcel, so it should say 65,000 square feet of
Right,
office space.
they're looking for 65,000 square feet of floor area. That's what they're requesting.
Right, is that horizontal floor area or vertical floor area?
It's floor area, any way you do it. Do it one story, it's horizontal. You do it 2 or 3 stories, it's vertical.
I know that, that's why I'm asking you what they're looking for.
Right. Well, we have design guidelines already adopted for this project, so it has to conform to those. Anything that's built within this development has to meet the original design guidelines. So whatever the building height limitations are that are established there, they have to conform to those.
Okay,
they're
all I'm
looking
asking,
for-
David, is this, what's the size of the land area? Because the 65,000 square feet, if it's a single story, is, an acre and 1.6 acres, something like that?
Right. They're not coming in with a proposal to say, this is what we want. They're saying, we'd like to reserve this square footage out of the remainder that is left and is allocated to the development. And that's what this development agreement does. Is that clear?
The DA limits the total amount of square feet of space that can be developed on that parcel?
Within the entire development.
The entire
Within the
project?
entire project.
Okay. That's odd that we would do that.
Well, it's
Especially
probably
given the
based
time
upon the
frame.
maximum floor area ratio they could achieve for the given acreage that they have, given the guidelines they're working with. So they have an envelope within which they can work, according to those guidelines. So given that, they're wanting to modify the agreement. It just extends it 1 year further than the time period that currently is available. And all of those details are within the staff report. We'll jump through the presentation very quickly. This is the development that you see along Highway 50, the area that's built out here and the areas that are left to build out. And so from that, there is an amount of square footage that we've cited in the staff report. I believe that is the 255,795 that's referred to in the background. The entire footage, when originally approved, was 1.425 million square feet. As you know, several of these projects have built out. We've listed them here for you. This is an extension of the development agreement by 7 years. It's a year beyond what the current development agreement allows. It has the aspects of this are to recognize the plan development guidelines to accommodate the future freeway overpass at Rowberry and additional time to complete the build out of the corporate center. Now, part of the reason the center hadn't built out within the term of the development agreement is that we experienced a very poor economy for a while. So I think it's reasonable that this is being requested and that we would work with them to do it. So the extension of the agreement really gives them till May 20, by 1 year. That is incorrect. The extension of the agreement,
2024.
if we take a look at it,
Seven years gets you to
April 11th it would commence on April 11th tonight and go through April 25th, 2017. So that's a typo there. That's in the staff report. You'll find that on page 6 of 26 at the bottom of the page under the effective date. That is a portion of the ordinance itself that approves the development agreement. Again, we're looking at the lots that are available for development. The Planning Commission did review this request, as they're required to with every development agreement, on March 15th of this year, and they did vote unanimously to support the development agreement amendment and to send it to the City Council for approval.
So which lot are we talking about, David? If you could back up one more.
Beg your pardon?
Back up one slide, please.
Yeah.
Are they talking about lot 6 or lot 5?
Well, Dan Cole's here, and he can talk to you about the lot that they're working from. I would assume it's right next to their existing building, and that's what we've been talking about. So it's right next to the existing Safe Credit Union building. And so at any rate, what they're wanting to do is extend the term 1 year and to carve out the reservation for the Safe Credit Union, and that's the sum total of the request this evening.
Okay. Any other questions for David? All right. This is a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. I have no request to speak on this item, and seeing nobody moving forward, I will go ahead and close public hearing.
I'll move ordinance 1274.
Okay, I will go ahead and second. Go ahead. All right. So moved by Vice Mayor Howell and seconded by Councilmember Sheldon. Okay, please call the roll on that item.
Council members Sheldon?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
And Moran?
Yes. Okay, so next item, please.
Next item is public hearing item 8C, resolution number 9899, a resolution extending the tentative subdivision map, plan development permit, and conditional use permit for the Leidesdorf Village residential project located at 1108 Sutter Street.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, David.
Yes, I promise you, I didn't come up here to do all these PowerPoints just because Councilmember Miklos wasn't here. I actually had all of these to present to you this evening. I'm trying to make them as short as I can, Mayor. Mayor and City Council members, there's been a request today by the applicant to continue this item, and I would respectfully submit that you probably need to deal with that before we go into the presentation. So if I know that the developer's here and would probably like to address you on that. If you want me to go forward after consideration of the request to continue, I'm happy to do so. But I just want to go ahead and take care of that business first.
Okay, very good. So, yeah, we did get that request via email and also had a couple other comment letters in addition to the staff report stuff from, I believe, some neighbors there. So yeah, why don't we have the applicant just,
Mr. Labachi?
if you want to just kind of state your desires for the record there. Good evening.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm Steve Labachi, the developer of the Leidesdorf Village, and we like to continue this the request for because of the full council. Since I find out if there's only 3 council, the majority of council vote, we would be denied. So we like to continue when we have a full council.
So your preference is to continue this to a future meeting when all 5 of us are here? Okay.
Yes.
So would that be an indefinite, would we just tee that up for the next council meeting?
I think the next one would be fine, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
The
As far as
25th?
we know, as far as attendance.
Well, don't we have to know what's on the next one? I mean, come on, The only reason I have any concern about this is that the people here, and this indicates, what I hear in the form I got, it's after 4:30 when the request is made, and people are committed to come here.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just find out there wasn't full council tonight. I did not know.
And I think that, yeah, one of the absences was a bit of a last minute because of an emergency. So, yeah, this happens.
In fact, I didn't find out that there was only going to be 3 of us until about 4:30 myself. So to be honest, whether you guys had made the request or not, I was going to make the request that we postpone it to the next council meeting, because I think it's only fair. This project started in 2005, and I think it's only fair for both sides of the issue to have 5 council members here to make the decision.
Okay.
I don't
just,
know if I agree with that.
You don't have to, my opinion.
So let me jump in here before you two start arguing. So just for the edification of the folks in the audience, we do get these requests to continue items relatively frequently for a whole host of reasons, and then it's up to the council to make that determination. I can't remember too many occurrences where, you know, we haven't extended that courtesy to the request of an applicant, but you know, that doesn't mean that it can't be deliberated. So let's take that first before we get into any sort of a staff report. So
Well, my concern is that, you know, here we're gaming it, you know, as you say, you can't get an approval with the current 3 of us, okay? That's probably true. But, you know, when we grant, you know, approvals for extensions, there's some reason that beyond 5 people being up here. I mean, that's like, you know,
I mean,
it's like
it
knowing
should
the
be
cards that are being
majority of
dealt.
vote. I mean, you guys have only 3 right now. I mean, it's not just fair. We've been working on this project for, I don't know, 15 years.
12
and-
years.
Yes.
The first action was 2005. I just
Yeah,
want to get a
2005,
timeline
and
here.
if it's not a full council, it's just not fair for me to, if it get denied, it's just, we have to start all over again.
So just so there's a clear understanding from those in the audience and those watching this. So there's 3 of us here. A vote to continue this would require what?
A majority of those present.
Okay.
2.
So 2, okay.
Yes, sir.
So I'll move to continue it to the next meeting.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and second that. And again, for purposes of explanation, I will usually accommodate those requests, but I do understand Ernie's
Well,
comment
I
there.
want to make myself clear. I've had good relations with you. You've been
Yeah.
polite and professional, and so it's nothing personal. It's just that I think it's the wrong project in the wrong place, and I voted against it. So there's no reason
understand.
I would grant an extension when I voted against the original one. So you know you got 2 to 1. That's the best you can get tonight. And I don't know if two doesn't approve it.
So that was my next.
You're commenting, Ernie, on something that we're not talking about, actually, that I think.
But no, I think
Do you
it's,
mean?
yeah, I think so too. So the second part of my question is as far as a vote on a continuance. So that I just asked. So the vote on an extension, that's a little different based on our charter, correct?
Based upon state law, actually,
state
the
law.
government code.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
It would
explain
require majority
those-
of the entire body.
Okay.
Which would mean 3 votes.
Okay. So that's kind of the dynamic going on here. So I appreciate Ernie's questions and, you know, certainly respect his opposition. And so based on the way this was voted on last time, that's the reason for the request for an extension. And so I'll go ahead and second that motion for the extension. And we do have a request to speak on this, so I don't want to take that away from anybody if they still want to. So I'm assuming, Mr. City Manager, that this would be an agenda item on our meeting in the end of April? Or
April
does
25th is
that-
the next meeting.
does that fit?
Well, let me answer your question this way, and just to be clear, you seconded the motion on.
On an extension, and I think you meant
On a
postponement.
continuance.
On a continuance, yes.
Yes. So if the council were to continue this off calendar, we would work with you, the mayor, as we always do, in order to formulate this agendized for a future meeting that's undetermined today. And I believe the vice mayor's motion was to continue it to the next meeting. If it's the council's determination that we'll bring it back the next meeting, then we will bring it back the next meeting. So we will handle this as the council pleases.
Okay.
Are we going to see the budget next time?
Yes, the
Well, I
budget
don't
is
think we should
scheduled.
overrule it. You know, the budget's pretty important. I think we should go to 2 meetings, you know, if we're going to go that way.
I'm okay
Well,
with
Are you okay with
yeah, and I don't want to say at this point that this would necessarily conflict with the budget presentation. We haven't made that determination, so
Well, Ernie brings up a good point there. So, and
Take it
if
off
the
and
applicant
maybe
doesn't
decide.
have a problem with that, we don't run any sort of a risk of, you know, having an extension fail because of lack of action.
the request for the extended entitlements of the map was made in a timely manner.
Okay.
And so it is pending before this body, and it will remain pending until you deal with it.
Okay.
That is
Okay, I
correct.
just wanted to make sure we didn't fall into an unintended consequence there.
Yes.
So let's do that then. If the vice mayor would like to just clarify.
I'll amend the motion that we'll continue it off calendar, subject to staff working out and with the applicant when we can handle it, because, you know, the budget could go 2 meetings. We don't know that it's going to get approved next
Understood.
time.
Yep. We will manage the agenda.
Absolutely.
I
So
trust
I'll-
you to do that.
So I'll second that amended motion. And my last request before I call for the roll call on this is, can we make sure that everybody we have contact information for on this item get a clear explanation of what happened and when to expect this before it's, you know, just when that's determined, we'll make sure they get a lot of prior notice. So,
We will do that from our.
okay, great. Okay, so with that, and again, so request to speak on this is Tessie Sorensen. Tessie, is Tessie here? Oh, Terry, I'm sorry, Terry. So do you wish to speak, or you're welcome to? You can speak now and then speak again if you want to do that, or as you just heard, this will be before us again probably in a month.
Yes, I basically understand what happened, and I would defer my comments. So
Okay.
I get a chance to get them in written form as well.
Okay.
I would request that I be put on I got notification of the Historic District Committee meeting on this same issue.
Okay, but,
And I don't know how I got that notice, but this one I didn't get.
Okay.
I had to hear it.
So we will make-
Ran around quickly and couldn't get in my written comments.
okay, so just since Terry was not on the microphone, just explaining that is so Terry's just concerned about making sure he gets notice at our next meeting, and so I'm sure we'll see his request to speak at that next meeting. So we will make sure you are plugged into the next meeting time on this item.
My only other comment would be that I feel sort of compelled to say this.
In fact, so why don't you come up? I want to get this on the record, Terry.
And while you're on your way up, Terry, are you one of those people that currently gets copies of the city council agendas? Because there's a number of people that they are emailed to automatically.
No, I'm not.
Would you like to be one of those people?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, if you could provide your email address to our clerk,
And you can do that.
after the meeting,
After the meeting's fine.
and then you'll
Okay, all right.
automatically get a copy of the agenda whenever it comes out.
Okay. So the floor is yours, Terry.
Okay. My name's Terry Sorensen. I am a resident in Historic District 1216 Forest Street. Lived there since 2005, near the end of 2005. I did come here today, loaded for bear, to oppose the extension. I think I got some good grounds for doing so, or good grounds for my position. A little bit amazed by what we just saw, that how this continuance came about. It was sort of like forum shopping. If we went tonight, it would lose. So we wait around till we get the right votes. And I saw it go down. I don't know quite what I can say, but I think that the public should be aware of what went on. Was it legal? I guess it was. But it was also very political because apparently there's a feeling that the majority of the council want this to pass, but they're not here. And I think it would have gone down.
I just want to make a statement in response to that.
Okay.
As I said earlier, I found out very late this afternoon that Councilmember Miklos was not going to be here tonight. I've served on this council for 19 years, and I don't think I can recall another meeting that we held with only 3 council members. I have no idea what Mr. Gaylord's opinion about this project is. I have no preconceived notion about whether it would get approved or it wouldn't. But I think given the amount of time that the developer has put into this, as well as the opposition from the neighbors over the course of the last 12+ years, I think it's only fair to everybody that all 5 council members be here. That's just my opinion.
I heard
right.
you. That's,
No,
that's fine.
And I'll just add that I appreciate those comments, Terry, and that's why I tried to really make sure everybody understood exactly what was going on, just so there would be an understanding. Now, whether you agree with how that proceeded, you know, I appreciate that. So, and again, we want to just be clear as to what was going on, and it's only, you know, it's not really vote shopping, it's vote assumption based on the last time this was voted on. So, and that, again, was a decision, a request made by the applicant. And I don't know if I've ever denied a request for an extension, and, you know, it's just been
Or a
my habit.
postponement.
Or a postponement, whatever, so, but anyway, I appreciate you coming up, Terry, and just kind of adding to the discussion. And any other thoughts you have?
Not really. I'll be here next time.
Okay,
and,
very good. And we'll make sure you're notified and get all the notifications.
As far as waiting until the end of the meeting to give my email, can I just call the clerk?
Absolutely.
And give her that tomorrow?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Can I comment?
You bet, Ernie.
Well, I agree with what Terry said. I think for public, you know, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not going to practice law. But I think for the image of the public, it doesn't look good. But for protocol, I'm ready to vote for the off-calendar request, okay, in order to be fair to everybody. Because I'm not changing my vote, so I can wait.
Okay. Thank you, Ernie. So with that, we have another request to speak.
While Bob's coming up, David, I think Everett passed this information along to you, but there's an error in the staff report with regard to the vote that took place at the Historic District Commission. It reflects that there was 6 votes in favor and 1 vote against. That was not true. Candy Miller was not at the meeting, so there was only 6 people there, and I believe it was 5 for, and 1 against. If we could just fix that.
Okay. Great.
Mayor, as a citizen of Folsom, Robert G. Holderness, I would say that having the full council vote on any measure is good government in action.
Okay. Thank you for that comment. Okay, any other requests to speak on this item? Okay, so we will go ahead and close the public hearing on that. We have a motion and a second on the continuance off calendar, so please call the roll.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
And Moran?
Yes. All right, and thank you, everybody, for helping us fumble through that. All right, so that concludes our slate of agenda items. Next item, please.
City manager reports?
Everett.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and members of the community. Well, we'll have another rare instance of rain coming this Thursday. And that's not so remarkable in and of itself, except for it's once again at the time where we scheduled the ribbon cutting for the Lake Natoma Waterfront Trail. So we seem to be chasing this date around a little bit, but this will be...
My email said rain or shine.
It'll be a rain or shine event, thank you. And so we're looking very much forward to cutting the ribbon on this extraordinary and wonderful new amenity that we're delivering to the public that will increase access for everyone down to Lake Natoma. So looking forward to that. We are gearing up for spring and summer event season here in Folsom, and everybody's favorite, the Spring Extravaganza Egg Hunt, is Saturday, April 15th. So that kind of kicks off in a very big 5,000 or 6,000 person way our summer event season. So look forward to seeing everybody out at our Extravaganza, and that is at Lemby Park on Riley Street on April 15th. Couple more announcements, if I may. Weather depending again, Prairie City Road will be closed between Highway 50 and White Rock Road on Wednesday, April 12th from 9 a.m. to 3:30 so that we can do some pavement repairs and striping and reflector installation. And anybody that's driven down Prairie City Road lately will welcome those few repairs as we again move into the summer driving season. And I'm very proud, and I wish you were here that I could introduce him personally, but I did select a new Folsom Fire Chief. His name is Felipe Rodriguez. He's finishing things up in the city of Oceanside in Southern California and preparing his family for the trek up here to Folsom. He is a local product. He did attend Folsom Lake College some years ago before entering the fire service that has brought him through Stockton down to Oceanside and returning here to the greater Folsom metropolitan area to serve as our next fire chief. We expect him to start on June 1st. Looking very much forward to introducing Felipe to the council and the community in person, and we're very excited to have him be serving us in this new capacity as fire chief. And that brings me to our current fire chief, Dan Haverty, who will want to give a personal thanks for your service. Again, thank you for letting me call you back to service to this community, and you've done a lot of great good for this community in both of your stints as fire chief here, sir. So thank you. You're not quite done yet. Just a few more days, and I really appreciate all that you've done for the community, Dan. Thank you very much. And with that, good evening.
Thank you, Everett. Well said. Ernie? Yeah.
Well, I want to piggyback on the city manager's remarks about the Easter, I call it the Easter egg hunt down at Lemby Park. I haven't missed one. And this afternoon, I spent some time putting Easter baskets together, which is a lot of fun. And it's amazing how many people show up in a 15 to 20 minute span. They just materialize nowhere. And that 5,000 figure is not an imagination or an exaggeration. It is packed. But it's fun because they come from all over, and Park and Rec people do a tremendous job because there's a lot of numbers, tremendous amount of Boy Scouts that are out there, school clubs are out there. We must have hundreds of volunteers, and they put out thousands of eggs out on the different fields. It's a tremendous project. And I'm so happy to see, as of right now, there's no rain forecast. We were worried about that for a while. I give credit to Andy for that. As far as the rain on Thursday, that might be interesting to see how we're going to put up with the handicap going down there on Thursday evening. That'll be a example of what we're going to deal with. Other than that, for the traffic people, for the I am amazed, and I've asked the city manager to provide for me and the rest of the council, if they wanted, some data and statistics on what traffic is going on in this town. I have seen more runners of stop signs. I mean, not the California stop. I mean, just going right smack through them. They look to see, would I get hit? Nope, I'm down. I'm not stopping. And that's wrong. I mean, it's getting worse. Now, people say, well, it's not as big as San Francisco. I don't care about San Francisco. I'm not there. I'm not going to get killed in San Francisco because I won't be there. But I could get killed in Folsom. Some guy runs a stop sign or a signal light. But mostly it's the stop sign. And they're running it all over the joint. And so I think we're going to have to get tough. I know our police department is very proficient, and they do a tremendous job. But maybe they're going to have to get a little more enforcement. I don't know that. The city manager said he would provide me some information. At one time, we had an analyst in the police department to do this, and then we had to lose the person during the financial crisis, 08 and 09. And now we got it hard back, so we're going to have some of that data. Because as a councilman, I need to be able to explain to people that ask me. I can't say, well, it must be okay because I haven't heard nothing. That's not an answer that's acceptable to me. So we're going to work together with the city manager and see what we can come up. I think the city manager instituted a couple of years ago what they call the quick report. It's outstanding. He gives us a lot of data real quick, and he's very good at doing it more than once during the month. If something happens, we find out. So I think we're going to need some of this. Other than that, I think the town's doing great, and it's a lot of vitality still going.
All right, great, thanks, Ernie. Gary?
Just a reminder to all those people that are going to the extravaganza, or if, the people that are in the room or that are watching us on Channel 14 or online, have friends and family that are going to go, please, please, please park appropriately and cross Riley Street at a light. I never go anywhere near that location on that Saturday morning because I don't have little kids, and there really is probably between 5,000 and 10,000 people that show up there. But one morning when I found myself there inadvertently, I was shocked to see people with little kids, toddlers, and strollers crossing Riley Street, not at the light. The speed limit on Riley is 45 miles an hour. Please, please don't do that. That's the thing that always scares me about the extravaganza. I'm looking forward to Thursday for the, if we have to bring our umbrellas, then we bring our umbrellas. And I also wanted to, Ernie's already given my traffic report, but the difficulty I think is that what you're worried about are people that are running stop signs that don't get tickets. And I'm pretty sure the police department can't produce data on how many people are running stop signs that don't get tickets. They can only tell you how many tickets we actually wrote. So those people got caught.
Yeah, but my remarks would be because the people that ask me how come they're not getting tickets, they think that nobody's getting tickets. I know that's not true.
No, that's absolutely not true. So again, as far as the driving goes, it's worse when it rains and then it stops and then it rains and then it stops. When it starts raining again, there's oil in the pavement that comes up and makes it slippery. So please drive careful, especially until this rain is finally over. And I'm seeing a lot of speeding in every neighborhood. I'm seeing people rolling through stop signs and exactly what Ernie's talking about. We're just completely ignoring them. I almost got hit on Folsom Boulevard coming out of Forest, leaving an event at the VFW last week. And it was a full-size pickup truck that went most of the way through the light at Natoma and Folsom Boulevard. So, and it was raining that night, so that was kind of frightening. I had the pleasure of representing the mayor and the city council at the immigration and naturalization ceremony that took place at our library this past weekend. Actually, Channel 13 was there. It was lovely. There was 30 people from, I think it was 12 different countries that were becoming U.S. citizens. The library was packed. About 7 or 8 of those people that were becoming U.S. citizens are actually Folsom residents. So that was very, very cool. That's always a lovely event, and the library staff did a great, great job organizing that. So congrats to our staff and to all of those new U.S. citizens. They were very, very happy, and it was very heartwarming to see them waving the little American flags that they had been given by the Homeland Security folks. So that was really cool, and I think we do that every year at the beginning of Library Week. So if you see that event in the future televised or listed in the newspaper, I strongly encourage you to attend. It's a very, very lovely event to watch. And with that, I will say happy Easter, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Great, thank you, Carrie, and thanks for filling in for me on that that past Saturday at the library there. So just 2 things. Last week I was in Washington, D.C. With our director of our water and wastewater divisions, visiting congressional folks and Bureau of Reclamation, Army Corps of Engineers, just really working on water issues, just making sure that what we have, we continue to have, and just encourage good business decisions when it comes to water supplies for the residents of the city of Folsom. And it's a good series of meetings. Folks we met with the Bureau of Reclamation, Army Corps of Engineers, good people, really understand the issues and seem to hear our concerns as far as, and a lot of that was exactly what happened during our dry years and how we can do things better and keep everybody more comfortable. Something other than potentially throwing pumps in the lake and pumping water out of the Deadpool. So great. Part of that was it was a combined City of Roseville, City of Folsom trip, because we both depend on surface water from Folsom Lake. And included in that was the mayor of Roseville, Susan Rowan. And again, just like to thank Marcus Yasutaki, our Folsom water and wastewater expert, and him dragging me around to these meetings with appropriate information. Secondly and lastly is just an interesting letter that we received from the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. And it's a little unique, but I wanted to share this to the community because I think it says a lot about who we are, what we are in Folsom, and what we do as a team, whether it's employees, residents, business owners, and the like. And this is a letter from the director of the Alcoholic Beverage Control, Ramona Prieto. So this is, Dear Mayor Moore, and I had the pleasure of being briefed on the shoulder tap operation that occurred in your city on February 8th, 2017. The goal and purpose of the operation was to reduce underage drinking and deter adults from furnishing alcoholic beverages to minors. During the operations, a 19-year-old decoy was used to solicit the purchase of alcohol beverages from adults while standing outside various liquor stores. The underage decoy was working under the direct supervision of the Folsom police officers. During this operation, the minor decoy asked a total of 29 people to purchase alcoholic beverages. All 29 people said no and declined to purchase the alcoholic beverages. This is the first time in recent history where we have seen an operation with a 100% compliance rate. In addition, the Folsom Police Department conducted a minor decoy operation on the following day. The minor visited 15 liquor stores, and the sales clerks at all 15 businesses refused to sell alcoholic beverages to the minor. The result of these operations speaks volumes towards the level of public safety in the city of Folsom. The outcomes of these operations were a huge success, and they will continue to serve as a model for other cities attempting to reduce youth access to alcohol in their communities. The mayor's office and city council are to be commended for the outstanding citizenry in Folsom. Furthermore, the Folsom Police Department is to be commended for its dedication to public safety and maintaining the strong presence in the field of underage drinking enforcement. The Folsom Police Department has made positive contribution to the state of California, and you can take pride in knowing that their participation in the shoulder tap and minor decoy programs have helped educate the communities about the consequences of furnishing alcoholic beverages to minors. So, you know, something we don't see every day, something you don't feel every day as far as, you know, some of these behind-the-scene things that go on in the city of Folsom. Again, an attempt to make sure that you know, these sorts of crimes are reduced to zero in this case. So my thanks to everybody who makes that happen, but it's our residents, it's our police department, the businesses. As I read that letter, all those folks were an important part of that 100% compliance. So my thanks to all those folks, and my sincere appreciation for the director of the ABC to take time to recognize that fine accomplishment. So with that,
I think we should encourage the police department to make sure that the people that are involved in Business Watch are aware of that. That's good information for them to be aware of.
I'm sure we'll make sure this gets spread around appropriately. So.
Oh, just one other thing that Everett mentioned to me the other day. Did you look up whatever the latest award is that we got from Wallet Hub or whoever it was? This is a good one.
I believe you're referring to that Folsom ranks within the 92nd percentile of credit ratings.
For our residents.
For citizens in a community.
Okay, so we have good credit as well.
We have good credit.
Well, our residents do. No, seriously, that's what it is.
And our city does as well.
And the city does as well. Rated in a different, FICO doesn't rate us. Standard & Poor's does.
Ernie, another comment?
As you know, the FAA runs a snack bar at Lemby, and we have a sign down that says, if you don't look like you're over 30, you have to ID us, and they do that.
Yeah.
And the police has come down and checked us,
Yeah.
the decoys, and they also, our people have attended the courses they put on, so it's a good.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for taking part in that as well. So that concludes this evening's meeting, adjourned at 7:44.
Yay. get to see the voice. Yeah.